Greetings, kings and queens. Oh, okay. Greetings, kings and queens. How are we all doing this evening? Why are we here? We here to close Rikers or nah? So when I say close Rikers, you say right now, close Rikers. Close Rikers. Absolutely. This here is an amazingly powerful looking room, and I am blessed to be in your presence. Because without you, without us, the voices that go unheard, this would not be able to happen. Are we clear on that? I'm gonna share a little something with y'all, okay? And it's gonna sound like a story, but I feel comfortable enough with you all to share my story with you. Is that all right? Jose used to turn on the pump down the street to cool us off in those sweltering summer days. As we cooled off, though, the rotting Bronx garbage bags left past pickup would also get wet. That dirtied our play. He meant well, though. I appreciated him, and he was special because not many other folks where I was from would do even that much for us. Jose asked my mother one day before I turned 11 if I could go to a meeting, and she said yes. In that meeting was a room full of folks who were disgusted about how the landlord was treating them, and what did? They organized. They got rid of that stinking ass landlord, and they won their fight. A seed was planted. Mom let me go because she needed to get her fix. She loved me, though. She would never do it in front of me, and even though her absence left me vulnerable, each stretch of time, the collateral consequences got thicker and thicker, and most times reaching 18 seemed like it felt further and further away. That love and negligence led to the rape that landed me in the ICU fighting for life. I needed to be defibrillated twice upon arrival because of what happened to me at the hands of a man known in our lives. I lost the possibility of childbearing because my uterus was broken. Had they given my mom treatment for her drug addiction instead of jail trips, perhaps I wouldn't have died twice that night. 6 days later, still the only arms that I felt comfortable in after that horrendous experience was hers. Because I was taught that what happened in our house stayed in our house, I was reluctant to address the issues that ensued thereafter. You know, the anger, the shame, the hurt. And that all translated into truancy, arrest for poor choices made in between some good choices, and disdain for systems. The rage drove me to demand better for myself, and although the high school counselor told me not to even bother applying to that 4-year college because you ain't gonna get in, and if you did, you ain't gonna make it anyway, thank goodness I was mad and angry because I applied and I got in. Huh? Mommy's health began to fail, and I drove back and forth from Potsdam University to get her stable. Maybe if she had been given treatment for her drug addiction instead of those jail trips, those chronic diseases wouldn't have chewed up the latter years of her life. Through that, though, I made the dean's list, the president's list, started racial equity organizations on campus, became a teacher while I was in college, student government, and graduated with my BA in them 4 years allotted. Didn't miss things, say I wouldn't make it. The very last time I was arrested and held, Mommy was already on her deathbed. I was taking care of her 24/7 alongside my beautiful sister who's here in the second row. And the feeling that I had inside of my heart while I sat in that cell was, damn, if my mother dies while I'm in here, I'm never gonna forgive myself. Well, 1 month later, she died. It was peaceful though, and it was in my arms. Following that, I gave the next 18 years to treating folks who living with addictions, folks with mental health issues, folks with re-entry barriers. I led a movement that got legislation passed to protect all 2.1 million New York City rent-stabilized housing tenants, called Intro 214. And that enabled tenants in housing court to have access to lawyers as of right, like in criminal court. Also, I led a charge to get all New Yorkers a rent freeze for 2 years in a row, first time ever in New York City history. Y'all know y'all rent go up every year. Today, I'm the executive director of an organization, Miss Abby's Kids, that works towards building a more sustainable Bronx child through real-world teaching, leadership development, and anti-recidivism practices. We host a health fair every Halloween that teaches the impacts of chronic diseases and how to avoid them. Over 5 years, through that health fair, we've serviced over 9,200 families. And getting back to that broken uterus, well, my daughter Miracle, who is here and doing some filming, is now 8 years old. And she's the CEO of her own company called Styled by Miracle. And our latest undertaking that we've worked on together, we've been raising burial funds for the victims and the families of the deadliest Bronx fire in history. Y'all heard about that on Prospect Avenue? So far, we've raised close to $40,000 to help restore our neighbors' lives and community. Again, my daughter's name is Miracle, and even she's grateful that Jose invited me to that meeting so many years ago. Thank you for letting me share my story with you.